Thanks for watching this edition of the Fox 7 Austin Crime Watch digital exclusive. I'm Dave Froehlich. We're taking a look at some of the crime stories that have made headlines recently in Austin and the surrounding area. We start off with an update out of San Antonio, where the police department has released new video from a shootout that injured 7 officers. It happened back in January, and as the San Antonio Police Department is now sharing the story of the moments leading up to the shootout. We want to warn you, some of the details may be disturbing. San Antonio police say it started when officers were dispatched to an apartment complex located on the Stone Oak Parkway. The first 911 caller said he had firearms and threatened to harm any officers who approached him. Then another call came from the suspect's family member about shots being fired at that same location. When police got there, one was shot. A helicopter was also on scene watching the suspect as he hid. That suspect ended up pointing the gun at the helicopter and shooting at other officers after going inside.
He's shooting outside the window. We got 2 officers shot. We need that armor in front of that window.
Backwards.
Multiple attempts were made to contact the suspect in an attempt to have a peaceful resolution to all this, but after the attempts were unsuccessful, SWAT officers did fire shots that hit the suspect. The investigation revealed 46-year-old Brandon Polos took his own life. All 7 officers, meanwhile, have been released from the hospital, and they are expected to fully recover. Well, a woman who preyed on 2 Comal County teens could spend the rest of her life receiving involuntary treatment. That comes after Desiree Ham was deemed Texas' first female sexually violent predator. Fox 7 Austin's Meredith Aldis has that story.
I knew the first time that we went forward on a female case for this type of proceeding, it needed to be a very serious, very strong case, and Desiree Ham delivered that to us.
In 2009, Desiree Ham was investigated for online relationships she developed with 2 teens from Comal County. The Comal County District Attorney says she brainwashed them, arranged their kidnapping from Texas to California, and while they were with her, she physically and psychologically abused them, even branded them to match her tattoo.
The mind games, the manipulation, the grooming behaviors, everything that showed not only the horrible things and horrific things that the 2 victims endured, the innocence that was stolen from them, the normal teen childhood life that they should have experienced.
Eventually, the teens were rescued and Ham was arrested.
A Comal County grand jury indicted Desiree Ham on August 4th, 2010 for 13 counts of criminal conduct, to include 4 counts of sexual performance of a child, 2 counts of aggravated kidnapping with the intent to violate or abuse sexually, and then 7 counts of sexual assault of a child. About a year later, Desiree Ham pled guilty to every single one of those offenses.
She was sentenced to 20 years in prison and another 10 years on probation. After spending about 15 years in prison, she was up for parole. Her case was referred to the Comal County DA's office and the Texas Special Prosecution Unit.
It's the first female case that before we did anything on it, and I just read the file, I knew right away that she would be the first female sexually violent predator.
Erin Fossler tried the case.
She is extremely manipulative, extremely conning. She has a way to get people to do things for her that I think they would not otherwise do. Even incarceration, which is, the most secure location that you can be to deter behavior like this, she is continuing to do it. I think that just speaks volumes of how dangerous she is.
The jury agreed.
She is the first female in Texas to be to get this classification, to be designated as a sexually violent predator.
Ham will be transferred to the Texas Civil Commitment Center in Littlefield, Texas.
She will receive mandatory treatment, and she will have to essentially prove through her time there that she has been able to reduce her risk.
Currently, about 500 people are civilly committed.
I hate to sound cliche, but these are the worst of the worst.
In 25 years, only 24 people have sufficiently completed the program. Ham will be evaluated every 2 years.
This really is about rehabilitation, and the ball's in her court to show that she can change. And if that happens, we'll see. And if it doesn't happen, then she will stay there.
Meredith Aldis, Fox 7 Austin Crime Watch.
Travis County Sheriff's Office investigating after a body was found on the side of a road. The body was found on Bidding School Road near Hog-Eye Road in East Travis County on February 23rd. TSCO says a 911 caller found a body under a tarp. They say the body appears to be a man in his 40s and had been decomposing for some time. Detectives believe the man was homeless and was left there after he died.
I tell you what, people are always dumping something down there. Animals and dogs and cats and, sheep and goats and, I guess this is a new one, dropping a body off, so I hope they find out who it was.
The medical examiner's office is working to identify the man. If you have any information on the case, you're asked to please call the Travis County Sheriff's Office, or you can call Crime Stoppers. Travis County District Attorney's Office failed to meet a deadline to get a murder case to a grand jury. As a result, the suspect was released from jail on just $100 bond. Recently, a judge increased the suspect's bail and he's back behind bars, and the prosecutor who was in charge of the case has resigned. Here's more from Fox 7 Austin's Meredith Aldis.
We're grateful that he's back in custody.
The man accused of killing her boyfriend is back in cuffs following a judge's ruling Wednesday. Police say Stephen Morrison shot and killed Keyshawn Cage back in October. He was arrested in November for murder and tampering with evidence. His bail was set at $800,000. The Texas Code of Criminal Procedure says a person accused of a felony must be released or their bail must be reduced if the state doesn't present the trial to a grand jury within 90 days. In this case, the state didn't. Morrison's attorney asked for his client to be released. A Travis County judge lowered Morrison's bond to $100, and he bonded out.
You can't hold people indefinitely. There has to be a mechanism, and that mechanism is an indictment. And if they don't present one, clearly they don't care or they're negligent about the handling of their cases.
The judge said she didn't want to release Morrison. However, she didn't have any discretion.
The judge in this case had the tools to keep our community safe and failed to use those tools.
Why, though, not an indictment within the 90 days?
Right.
That's the first problem in this that then snowballed.
Well, again, the law is clear that judges have the authority to address community safety in setting a bail once the indictment has been returned.
But the indictment wasn't returned.
No, that's not true. In this case, the indictment was returned prior to the court's hearing on the motion to reduce bail.
But not in 90 days.
That is correct. But again, the statute doesn't say, the law doesn't say that if you are not indicted within 90 days, you must be released no matter what.
So in court Wednesday, the state argued the $100 bond wasn't sufficient and asked the judge to increase Morrison's bond amount.
I do believe that this is, in fact, a show to try to move the fault of their office from their failure to indict over onto the judge, putting the onus on her to make a difficult decision and essentially just absolving themselves of their malfeasance.
The judge decided to increase Morrison's bond to $100,000 because of, quote, the potential safety threat to the defendant's family and the community at large.
If you can take a life, you don't deserve to walk the streets freely.
In court, the judge looked directly at the state and said, please do not allow the 90 days to lapse ever again. So what happened to the 20-year prosecutor who was originally on this case?
Was this prosecutor fired?
So we noticed problems with this prosecutor's case. We took immediate action, and without notice, the prosecutor resigned the following day.
I really hope that this doesn't happen again, because the way that it's putting me and my family through the ringer, I will pray that it will never happen to anyone else.
Meredith Aldis, Fox 7 Austin News.
An undocumented migrant is being charged for possession of a firearm in Williamson County. Marcelo Oliveira Moreno was pulled over in Hutto after the person who was riding in the passenger seat was caught shooting a gun out of the window. Moreno told the sheriff's deputy he bought the firearm at a flea market 3 months before. Homeland Security, the ATF, and the sheriff's office are all investigating the case. If convicted, Moreno will likely face up to 15 years in prison. A former Austin police officer is no longer facing a murder charge. Fox 7 was the only media outlet in the courtroom as the Travis County District Attorney's Office dismissed the case against Christopher Taylor for the 2020 shooting death of Michael Ramos. Fox 7 Austin's Meredith Aldis has our report.
Judge, we have a motion to dismiss cause number B1DC 20-900-048 for the reason that the defendant was convicted of the offense of deadly conduct, and cause number B1DC 19-900-111.
Former Austin police officer Christopher Taylor is cleared of all charges in the 2020 shooting death of Michael Ramos. Taylor and several other officers had responded to a call at an apartment complex in Southeast Austin when Taylor shot Ramos 3 times. In 2023, Taylor was tried for murder, but a jury deadlocked.
Court finds that there is a manifest necessity that requires me to declare this case as a mistrial.
And Taylor's defense attorney told Fox 7 back then,
while this may have been a tragedy, it's absolutely not murder.
In June, the district attorney's office presented the case to a new grand jury for consideration of new charges. The jury declined to indict. The DA's office could have tried the murder trial again, but on Friday, they dismissed the case.
The court is going to grant the state's motion to dismiss.
Taylor is still going through the appeals process for another officer-involved shooting case. He was convicted of deadly conduct, and back in December, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison for the 2019 shooting death of 46-year-old Morris Da Silva. Meredith Aldis, Fox 7 Austin News.
Captain with Houston Police Department is facing new charges after being arrested for the possession of child pornography. Fox's Jade Fleury breaks down the disturbing court documents.
A Houston police officer once celebrated for his service, now facing 3 counts of child sex crimes. 59-year-old Darren Edwards arrested and charged with possession of child pornography, aggravated sexual assault, and sexual performance of a child. Court documents detail very disturbing allegations of molestation. The victim told investigators it began when she was 12 years old and continued until last month. Documents also allege Edwards sent sexually explicit messages to the victim through Snapchat and Instagram. The victims told detectives Edward asked and sometimes bribed her with money to send nude pictures of herself, which she did to keep him from getting upset. Court docs also say the victim claims there were hidden cameras placed in the house by Edwards that recorded sexual encounters. Around 10 p.m. on Tuesday, the alleged victim filed a report against Edwards. The following day, League City police executed a search warrant at his home in Victory Lakes. Charges for child pornography were filed the same day, and Edwards was arrested that evening. On Thursday, Edwards was transferred from the League City Police Department to the Galveston County Jail. The 2 additional charges for aggravated sexual assault and sexual performance of a child were added. On Friday, League City investigators were seen entering and leaving Edwards' home. They told Fox 26 they were still conducting their investigation. Pictures posted on Edwards' Facebook page portray him as a well-rounded officer and dedicated public servant. The 32-year veteran of the Houston Police Department, who was sworn to protect and serve, now accused of being a child predator.
That's a name you've probably heard many times in our newscast. Crime Stoppers, Fox 7 Austin's Angela Shin has a look at how it helps with unsolved crimes and suspects on the run.
If you know something about a felony case, you could help police solve the crime for a reward. Crime Stoppers is a national program that has been around for decades. It's broken down by region. Here in Travis County, it's called Capital Area Crime Stoppers.
A lot of the people that we go after for the really, really high-profile felonies, murder, robbery series, anything like that, in which like extreme violence is used on the part of the suspect, those people aren't the easiest to find.
Tipsters can earn reward money for information that leads to an arrest. A highlight is you can be anonymous.
Oftentimes due to social pressure, fear of retaliation, fear of being unfairly scrutinized in social media or media in general, people have a propensity or a desire to help, but an apprehension to do so.
The reward amounts roughly follow a payment matrix, which varies by region. High-profile cases might have a bigger reward. The funds come from probation fees and donations. Officers and civilian volunteers both help with the program. Over the past 3 years, more than 200 arrests have been made. The number of tips increasing each year, just under 2,000 in 2022 and more than 3,200 in 2024. A Crime Stoppers tip recently led to the arrest of these 6 suspects suspects in the November 2024 murder of Xavier Jones.
We were at a point where we were kind of running out of threads to pull. But then a tip came in, and I and 2 other officers followed up on that tip within hours of it coming in. And where that tip purported us to be, we see the suspect vehicle.
While not all callers might have something useful, investigators have a pretty good idea how to weed out ones that are not legitimate.
We have a knowledge base that we don't necessarily advertise.
You can submit your tip online, by phone, or on the app.
This program for our department, and I can only assume is the same for other departments, is absolutely invaluable with the both for fugitive apprehension and ongoing cases.
Angela Shen, Fox 7 Austin News.
Well, for more on the stories featured in this episode, you can head to our website, fox7austin.com, and click on the Crime Watch section at the top of the page. Crime Watch stories premiere each Monday on Fox 7 Austin News at 9, and you can also watch on our Fox Local mobile and connected TV apps. They're free to download, and you can stream the news on your phone as well as multiple platforms like Roku and Apple TV. Thanks for watching this edition of the Fox 7 Austin Crime Watch digital exclusive. Don't forget to subscribe to the Fox 7 Austin YouTube channel.